Hola, buenos dias. I wish that you were here. Te amo. Yeah. Oh, wow. So it is a beautiful day. Wow. And I'm just out here minding my own business, enjoying life on a beautiful day. And something struck me. Right-wing thinking, if you can even call it thinking, seems to focus very heavily on what's in it for me, rather than how can all of us collectively benefit together. It seems to be a winner-takes-all approach to life and reality, where the idea of everybody reaching the finish line together is simply unthinkable. Because yes, somebody has to be the loser and somebody has to be the winner. And you do not want to be the loser. And this is the right-wing mentality, which unfortunately supports all manner of deceitful, dishonest behavior. In other words, cheating to avoid losing. And we see this in the last several elections, where, yes, dishonest right-wing tactics have come to define election drama to such a degree that right-wing candidates cannot even be said to be engaged in any sort of, dare I say, honest politicking. For them, it's all theater. It's all demonizing and othering the opposition. And their supporters have come to think of this as perfectly normal. You cannot acknowledge the humanity of the person that you're running against. That's pretty sad and scary. Yeah. And the extreme right wing has got to the point where they just cannot acknowledge the humanity of, well, anybody. They're demonizing everyone. And it's scary. And while it is highly likely that they will turn on each other, the question is when. How many good and decent people are they going to kill on the way to that point? It's scary. Because right-wingers are willing to throw their support behind people like Pinochet and Trump and other really terrifying people. In fact, they've thrown their support behind a man named Scheckelgruber. We all know what his other name is, don't we? Scheckelgruber. And we have all seen the process of the decline in human dignity that accompanies the rise of such individuals. Because, well, yeah, they are monsters, they're incompetent, the policies that they implement are bad, and when those bad policies hurt their supporters, instead of saying, oops, we made a mistake, they look for a scapegoat, an outgroup to blame for the consequences of the policies that right-wingers promised would never have consequences. Because if there's one thing right-wingers insist on, it's living consequence-free. They do not want to be accountable for their bad behavior, and they do not want to be held accountable for their bad behavior. Yeah. Something we should all think about as we consider the next series of elections, federally, provincially, and, well, everywhere else. And for those of you who are Americans, state elections. And yes, absolutely, you should vote for the candidate who is least right-wing. If you are concerned for your children's ability to go to school, or for the neighbor's children's ability to go to school over the next 10 years. If you are concerned for the health, safety, and well-being of Abdullah, who owns Abdullah's House of Shawarma, you should vote for a non-right-wing candidate. Because, well, shawarma is good. It's delicious. The same holds true for Sheng Wu's House of Chop Suey and Ishiku's House of Sushi. The right wing will turn on them. And let's face it, chop suey and sushi are both delicious. And then there's the fate of that other neighbor, whose name is Goldfarb. And he's not a bad neighbor. But the right-wingers will turn on him as well, even if he is a supporter of them. They'll turn on him even faster if he's not a supporter of them. Because, well, yeah, he's still a legitimate target. Oh, wow. Everybody is a legitimate target. The right wing will see the educational system dumbed down, and they will see it restricted to the children of the rich. With the poor being cast into illiteracy and ignorance. They will dismantle public health care so that only rich people can afford life-saving surgical treatments. It's a hell of a price to pay to hurt a man who you don't know, who just happens to might be gay. That you're going to make sure that you have to die of perfectly treatable cancer because you can't afford the health care that would allow you to get it treated. But right-wing voters don't think that far down the road, unfortunately. And so the rest of us are going to have to think that far down the road for them, protecting their interests as well as ours, because they are the same interests. The well-being of right-wing voters, the well-being of centrist voters, and the well-being of left-wing voters are all the same thing. Public health care, public education, public roads, public transit, sound and reasonable environmental policy, workers' rights, labor unions. Universal suffrage, and the right of anybody, whatever the color of their skin or whatever religious beliefs they hold, to be equal citizens under the law, both on paper and in practice. These are all things that benefit everybody. And no, freedom is not a pie. Quite the opposite. Somebody giving somebody else more freedom does not take freedom away from you and me. Rather, giving somebody else more freedom gives us more freedom. And the way that works is, again, freedom is not a pie. There is not a finite amount for distribution. Freedom is a principle. And when everyone is allowed to experience it, nobody has any reason to take up arms against the minority that has it, because there is no minority. It's universal. Again, something that right-wing politicians don't want you to know. Freedom is not a pie. Freedom is not a pie.